She was sitting in the corner, humming, blood smeared across her face. Her hands, her dress, still the one she had been buried in, was torn, covered in dirt. She looked up and smiled. You came back, she whispered. I couldn't move. My body locked in place. She stood up slowly. I waited for you. My mind screamed at me to run, but my legs wouldn't listen. I watched as she tilted her head, her smile widening. Do you know what it feels like? She asked, stepping closer. To wake up in the dark, to scream, and no one hears you? I shook my head. Tears blurred my vision. She leaned in. Now you do. The candle in the corner flickered. The shadows in the room stretched, moving unnaturally. And then darkness swallowed everything. I don't know how I survived that night. I woke up at dawn, outside the house. My head throbbed. My clothes were soaked in sweat. The house was empty. My parents' bodies were gone. And Amara, she was nowhere to be found. But I know she's still out there. Some nights I hear her whispering my name. I left the village that morning. I didn't pack anything. I just ran. My feet pounded the dirt road, my heart hammering. I didn't stop until I reached the next village. I told them what happened. They didn't believe me. The elders looked at me with pity. Some whispered that grief had driven me mad. Others said I was cursed, just like Amara. The headman, an old man with tired eyes, finally spoke. There is no house in your village. My stomach twisted. What? The village burned down years ago, he said. No one lives there. I shook my head. That's not possible. I was just there. My parents, the headman sighed. Your parents died a long time ago, child. I felt the room spin. No, no, that's not true. But then I remembered the silence, the emptiness, the way the house felt wrong, like it didn't belong. I had been living in a place that no longer existed, a place Amara created. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat by the fire in the communal hut, staring at my hands. My nails were dirty, my fingers raw from clawing out of that grave. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Amara's smile. I was exhausted, but I was too afraid to rest. Then the fire flickered, the air shifted, a shadow stretched along the ground. I knew before I even turned my head. She was here. A voice, soft and mocking, whispered behind me, You can't run, Kosi. My breath hitched. I turned slowly. She stood in the doorway, her body still wrapped in the burial cloth, her skin gray and dry, like something that had been dead for too long. Her lips curled into that same eerie smile. I'll always find you, she whispered. My hands clenched. I wanted to scream, to run, to fight, but I already knew the truth. There was no escaping Amara because she wasn't after me. She was inside me. I woke up screaming, but it wasn't my voice, it was hers, echoing in my head, whispering, laughing. I looked down at my hands. They were covered in blood. The villagers found me at dawn, standing over a body. Neka, the old woman who had saved me. Her throat was slit, her eyes frozen in shock. I stepped back, shaking. I didn't do this. The villagers didn't listen. They grabbed me, tied my hands, dragged me to the village square. She is possessed, they muttered. The witch lives in her. I tried to explain, tried to tell them it wasn't me. But in my mind, Amara's laughter echoed, because she knew. And now, so did I. I was never meant to escape her. I was meant to become her. They locked me in a hut at the edge of the village. Outside, the elders gathered, whispering, deciding what to do with me. I knew how this would end. They would burn me. It was the only way to stop a curse like this. I had seen it happen before, to others accused of witchcraft. I had watched from the crowd as the flames swallowed them, their screams fading into the night. Now it was my turn, but the worst part, I wasn't sure they were wrong. I stared at my hands, still stained with Neka's blood. I had no memory of killing her, but Amara's laughter echoed in my head. She's inside me. I squeezed my eyes shut. Leave me alone. a whisper close to my ear. But we are the same, Kosi. I flinched, my breath shaky. No. A shadow moved in the corner. I turned my head slowly. She was there, crouching, smiling, her head tilted. The burial cloth still clung to her body, damp with grave soil. You let me in, she said. I shook my head. I didn't. Her smile widened. You did. The moment you woke up in that grave, you became mine. Tears burned my eyes. Please. She moved closer, her cold fingers brushing my cheek. It's better this way, she whispered. I felt something shift inside me, a pull, like invisible hands wrapping around my ribs, tightening, a pressure in my skull. I gasped. My body went stiff. I felt my lips stretch into a smile. Only I wasn't the one smiling. My fingers twitched. Only point zero.